Welcome to a brand new episode of Geeks from the Multiverse podcast. This is Evolve, and we have something a bit different for you. We've talked about addiction before, but what if addiction was a medieval kingdom? What role would each addictive substance play in this kingdom? Each one promises something its people desperately want, and every promise comes with a cost. So grab your gear and let's go on an adventure to the kingdom of addiction.
Evolve, adapt, overcome. Power up your mind and level up your soul. It just takes one small step to being
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your boy John, aka Captain Stash, and as always with me, I got my boy, Mr. Grumpy Beard.
What's up, everybody?
So yes, Kingdom of Addiction. You know, this is quite an interesting episode, Matt, because when you told me about this particular one, I know this is what we used to call our serious kind of episode. You know, I'm looking at this and I was like, addiction as a whole, I never really would have thought it would have been like this kind of style of it. I mean, it's interesting how we're going to go break through everything, like, each substance and things like that. But I guess my curiosity, real quick, is what made you think of this idea?
Well, I'll tell you, John. So, I mean, if anybody knows me as a person, you'll know that my brain has random thoughts all the time.
No kidding on that one.
And so I had thought of this question, what if addictive substances were medieval characters? That is just a thought. Like, it was just a question that, because we've been watching, House of the Dragon, and, we've been watching some Game of Thrones and stuff. And, that thought kind of popped in my head, and I was like, like, that would be sort of a cool idea if we'd like tied in addiction and these really addictive substances to these medieval characters. And I'm talking like, jesters and
what, bards?
Bards and, alchemists and, all these different characters. And it really got me thinking, and I was like, okay, well, what would each substance kind of like represent as far as like what they do? And I think we've got them all pretty tight as far as like what they do, and we're gonna go through each one. I think there's about seven of them, I think.
It's probably about 8 if I had to guess. But no, I mean, real quick, so we'll do a really quick CTA here. So yes, if you, of course, do our little fist bump, our follow, interact, subscribe, tell your friends, all that fun stuff, you can check us out on gftm.com, or sorry, just let me rephrase that, geeksfromthemultiverse.com. And, check out our merch store, check out actually the Evolve page that we have on there. There's a bunch of resources on there as well. And of course, any new Evolve, episodes are going to be in this page that we have as well. But, and of course with Matt, with his lovely books and everything else that he, wants to keep writing about, check those out too. It's on Amazon, because guess what? He's like, I'm going to be a self-publisher. Screw everybody else. That's what's going to happen. But yeah, anyways, real quick, when it comes down to this, I mean, I will say it's a pretty serious topic. It's not something that, unfortunately just goes away. So, I mean,
we're just putting a unique spin on it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, we're putting this unique spin on, these medieval fantasy type characters, this kind of realm of addiction as a medieval kingdom.
Right. And what I mean by this too is that, if you're, if you're listening, or maybe if you show a friend or something like that, I mean, just fair warn them. I mean, we are two goofy dudes on two, I was going to say on two goofy mics, but that doesn't make any sense. But, we do try to be serious, and especially things like this, because, I mean, we both actually met, in the addiction field. So it just kind of like, kind of hits home for us in this sense. But, go ahead, man. I'll let you start us off here.
Yeah, so welcome to the Kingdom of Addiction. This is a medieval world ruled not by heroes, but by substances disguised as these rulers, warlords, jesters, physicians, and wandering mystics. So I'm going to kind of like give you a brief sentence maybe on each one that we're going to be talking about, and then we're going to break down each one individually. So we got the swamp bard, who drifts through the marshes offering escape. The ashen jester,
Gesture? Are you trying to gesture me here?
Jester dances through burned alleyways chasing chaos and desperation. The Iron Warlord rules crowded taverns where celebration slowly becomes destruction. The Silken Physician whispers comfort while quietly stealing memory and control. The Furnace Alchemist burns through his own mind, chasing limitless energy and obsession. The Fallen King remembers the old opioid empire that once worshipped him. And above all them, on the Iron Throne, just kidding, sits the Hollow King, silent, nodding, and deadly. So every ruler in this kingdom, I mean, they're not all rulers, but every figure in this kingdom promises something humans desperately want, like peace, confidence, relief, escape, energy, or silence, and every one of them demands payment eventually. I mean, that's pretty much how addiction works, right? I mean,
That's true. I mean, this first one, though, I mean, I don't know why I think of you. No, I'm
you think of me.
I think of you. No, I'm
What?
kidding. No, so this first one here is the Swamp Bard,
The Swamp Bard.
or
yes.
AKA Cannabis.
Cannabis.
So the Swamp Bard doesn't want the throne, right? He's wandering barefoot, there we go, through overgrown ruins, talking philosophy to frogs while smoke rolls through the swamp behind him, and three guys in the background are coughing like they just inhaled a dragon attack. I mean, I'm just going to start off right there. How many people? No, like how many people do you know that actually do this? No. So yeah, in this character, right, everybody in the kingdom says is harmless because compared to the other lunatics running around, honestly, he kind of is.
He kind of, I
he
mean,
kind of is, you know.
I mean, if he just walking around, I mean, I can almost, like, I don't know why, but, and I know Snoop like smokes a lot of weed, but like, I can almost see him like walking around talking to frogs, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Why?
Like smoke rolls all around him, and it
G-O double G, baby. Hey,
I don't know. I
do.
I picture that, but I mean, the Swamp Bard isn't one of these like dangerous guys, right? It's like stress relief, anxiety relief, like no pressure kind of thing, like just rolling around. And I don't know. I just have this image of Snoop Dogg. I don't know. That's just me. But
No, I mean, I guess it's weird that you can say that basically when we think of cannabis or like marijuana or anything like that, you generally think of Snoop Dogg. I would say most whoever doesn't live under a rock basically would know.
like Seth Rogen, maybe.
Well, maybe. Well, he's another one. I mean, I feel like. Please,
was a bad-
keep doing that. I would love to hear that more. No, and that's why people love him, right? This particular character, and the problem is sometimes people stop visiting the swamp and start living there, right? So the heavy long-term use can affect, motivation, memory, attention, emotional regulation, and in some people, anxiety and paranoia. So, and this kind of goes back to, I remember a little quick story. I remember actually back in the day then you and I used to work at a certain place. There was this guy who challenged me and stated that cannabis, or at least marijuana, whatever, Mary J, whatever you want to call it, he said at the time to me, he said, I think it's not addictive. And I said, oh, really? It's not addictive. I said, okay. So let me, and I said, let me talk to you about this for a second. He's like, okay. So if you say it's not addictive, does that mean you can quit right now? And then what his next words were, no, that's not what I meant. I mean, I like doing it. And I'm like,
right.
No, but I'm like, okay, but if you're saying it's not addictive, that means you could stop at any moment and have no, repercussions, no nothing. He's like, well, that's not what I said. I'm like, no, but you're saying that it's not addictive. That means you can stop at any time, no matter what. End of story, cold turkey. And this guy was fighting me about this, and I'm like, okay, so keep in mind, when we're talking about addiction, when everything, again, addict, in the sense of that word, and basically you're forming a habit, like you're forming something, and then it becomes something you desperately need. Like it's this craving. That's why, and I hate saying it, but I know some people may agree or disagree, but people have said in the past, and I don't know if it's like technically true now, but a long time ago they were talking about how cannabis was a gateway drug. And in the sense of, I'm not saying it always is, but like sometimes you start with one thing and then it progresses, right? So like when we're talking about, cannabis right now, it changes you on so many levels. And when people say it's not as addictive or it's not similar to alcohol. I'm like, check the facts. I can guarantee you when you look at alcohol and you look at marijuana, they're almost identical when it comes to like how it changes you, how you view things, how, like so many other things. So when you're looking at this, keep that in perspective. And we're just saying this as, granted, a medieval character here, but, cannabis is not something that, again, you do what you want to do. Yes, it has medicinal properties, this and that, but yes, believe it or not, it is addictive, just like any other drug that you would probably have, and we'll probably be talking about. But anyways.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think and the biggest thing is, anxiety and paranoia. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure, I mean, cannabis is considered a hallucinogen in general. So when you're talking about like, oh, I'm just trying to relieve my anxiety. Really?
Well, so here's the thing. Like it says right here, in some people, anxiety and paranoia. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to have anxiety and paranoia, but it does mean that there's a good chance that you would probably get some paranoia out of this as well.
And the thing with motivation and memory, I mean, it's like one of these things that we talk about, and yeah, can you overdose on weed? No.
No, you cannot.
No. Can you smoke way too much and be an idiot? Yes. Yes, you most, certainly can. But I think the thing is like you'll eventually lose motivation to do certain things because it does affect your memory and it does affect your attention. And I don't know so much about emotional regulation, but I mean, I think
it could. I mean, if you think about how, sure, like let's say you're always stressed. Let's say you're always like high strung and you're always angry or something like that. Sure, it may calm you down. It may like give you into like a certain state of mind where you're not in that,
I think it's just
mode.
This is one of those substances, I think, that like you can create excuses.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like you can be like, I'm normally pretty stressed and I have a lot of anxiety and this is the only thing I've ever had that like calms me down. And then it's like, well, what happened today? Like, what is making you stressed? Like, well, I just worked for 8 hours. Like, okay, well, that shouldn't be stressful. Like everybody fucking works. You know what I mean? Like if your job is that stressful, then you need to do something else.
Well,
but
like, again, not everybody works. Just got to throw it out.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's like, well, I went to the store and it was pretty stressful. Like, it's like you're now just creating excuses to smoke more.
Well, and that's,
you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the thing. I think with a lot of people, at least that I know, it's like your story was, can you just stop doing it for a day? Like, well, no, I can't. Well, why not? And it's like one person that I knew who was a pretty heavy smoker would throw up all the time. And I kept telling him, like, it's because you're smoking weed all the time. Like,
and you're probably not drinking enough water.
If you stopped smoking weed, you probably stop throwing up because there is a medical condition linked to marijuana that makes you throw up.
No kidding.
If you smoke a lot. And this person smoked a heck of a lot and they would throw up all the time. Like it was chronic, like all day, it was bad. And I'm like, you just need to stop. And they're like, oh, I can't. Like,
well, and that's the thing. I mean, I hate saying it too. I mean, when you think about smoking and everything else, I mean, yeah, I mean, then the part of it, right? So like what makes, let's say cannabis addictive is the THC, and just like with smoking, it's nicotine and so on and so forth. So like they can't say that THC doesn't have some addictive qualities because sure, it may calm you down, it may do all this, but like I said, you cannot tell me that it is not an addictive property to make you want to continue to do this. And this is what we're saying. But I know we could go on and on about this, but
yeah, let me take on the next one because this one is he's something else. All right. This is the Ashen Jester.
What, you didn't want to finish the swamp part here?
Nah, fine. I think people get what cannabis is.
I figured that as much. Yes, that's fine.
We're talking about the Ashen Jester. He is obviously, you know what a jester is. He's usually the guy, that entertains the king or entertains the people. He like juggles or I don't know. They do whatever. But this particular person represents crack cocaine.
Now, I'm going to say this real quick. You know, this. I mean, granted, it's not the same thing, the type of the drug I'm going to talk about here, but this reminds me of Brucey from GTA 4. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
like I know the shark test arsenal thing. I mean, but it's that same kind of hyped up. Like this is what we're going to be talking about. But go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so if cocaine is the rich noble throwing parties in the castle, crack cocaine is the guy behind the castle juggling flaming knives in an alley screaming, "I have a business opportunity."
Of course you do.
So the Ashen Jester is thin, he's frantic, he's twitching, he's moving at all times like his skeleton owes somebody money. That's pretty fun, actually. But crack cocaine as a substance itself, like it hits the brain extremely fast, produces an intense high that's short-lived, and that short duration creates a constant cycle of hit, crash, desperation, and then repeat. Which, I mean, crack cocaine is probably one of the most addictive. I mean, they're all pretty addictive, but I think just that the feeling that it gives you makes you want to keep doing it because it's so short-lived.
I mean, there is one other drug which we'll mention later, but I would say it's up there for sure. This one, but you know, the jester believes every thought is genius, right? And so every plan is brilliance. Every stranger is either his next victim or his next enemy. And because the high burns out so quickly, people often binge repeatedly, chasing the first feeling again. You know, crack historically devastated entire communities through addiction, violence, poverty, incarceration, paranoia, and instability.
Oh, you don't say.
So, well, think about it. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't alive, man, during this time, but I know back in the 80s, crack cocaine was the big thing. I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what. Matt's like, I was only not even really alive yet. But no, but I mean, well, you did. Hold on. I mean,
I was 2 through 10. 2 through 11? Somewhere around there.
You were 1 through 10, but it's fine.
Well, you know.
The point is yes, you were young. You were a young lad.
I was a young lad not doing crack.
Well, that's a good thing because I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure they frown upon toddlers doing crack.
Well, I was also going to say, what did Ronald Reagan say? No,
Breaking Bad.
it's bad. Okay.
So yeah, the Ashen Jester thinks he's still performing for a cheering crowd, and the horrifying part, the crowd disappeared years ago. They are no longer being entertained.
Well, and so the thing about crack cocaine is like, you know, it's sad. What's one of the worst things besides, I would say, heroin is you look at somebody that did crack cocaine and you saw how, let's say, vibrant they were beforehand, and then you saw them, like, let's say 5-10 years later.
Yeah, and they're not even the same person.
I mean, well, not even. So it's really, I mean, I will say it really does a number on women for sure. Like, I'm just saying, because like you go from a beautiful girl to then all of a sudden the girl's almost bald. Like it literally is a very deadly look. Like you almost want to go, like, what am I looking at right now? Like this is like two totally polar opposite things going on. And this is what we're saying is like this drug is not, it's not a joke. And I mean, like, that's the thing is like, sure, I will say, you know, in New Hampshire, unfortunately, you know, I would say it's probably not as, maybe it's not as bad in New Hampshire, but I mean, I know, again, you're talking, if you can find drugs, guess what? You'll probably figure out that this is somewhere around here.
You know, the Department of Justice.gov, like I just went to this site, it says that individuals of all ages use crack cocaine, which is obvious. I mean, that's like, hey, Captain Obvious. But certain data reported in the National Household Survey on Drug Abuse indicate that an estimated, and I say this number because it's here, but it's like, holy shit.
Like alarming? Is this like recent?
It doesn't have a date, to be honest. But an estimated 6,222,000 U.S. residents aged 12 or older used crack at least once in their lifetime.
Oh my God.
That is like
That's
crazy.
insane.
And then it goes, the survey also revealed that hundreds of thousands of teenagers and young adults use crack cocaine, 150,000 individuals aged 12 to 17, and 1,000,000 3,000 individuals aged 18 to 25 use the drug at least once.
That's insane. I mean, the fact that, first of all, what is a 12-year-old going to be? No offense. I mean,
dude.
God damn.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we're talking, that's insane to me about that. But I know these are just.
I'm going to read some of the. There's a lot of street terms, and I have not heard of any of these. Crumbs and munch. French fries. Have you heard of that one?
Nope.
French fries. Fat bags.
Fat bags?
Electric Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Hot cakes.
Okay.
Jelly beans.
Okay.
Prime time.
I mean, maybe prime time, but
Hey, you got some of that prime time.
where that Deion Sanders at? No.
Scrabble. I got Snow Coke. Snow Coke.
Snow Coke.
Tornado Troop. Those are just some of them, yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Now, this next character, because I feel like we've definitely talked about crack cocaine
Oh,
here.
yeah. This one is.
This one's a more, unfortunately, popular one because, you know, I'm not saying what we're doing right now, but no,
it's not illegal.
no, it is not illegal. But again, it's also one of the most, again, I would say popular as well as probably more accepting, which is in some ways sad. But we're talking about the Iron Warlord, or AKA alcohol. So now we get to the most socially accepted ruler in the kingdom, right? So the Iron Warlord doesn't sneak around in shadows. He kicks the tavern doors, open a carrying barrel over one shoulder while everybody screams his name. And honestly, most of the kingdom loves him, right? And that's what makes him terrifying. Because again, alcohol is connected to celebrations, sports, holidays, grief, funerals, weddings, breakups, victories, and failures. I mean, those are just like some things. I mean, basically, you could just open up let's say a can of beer at any point, no matter what it is. But the warlord is everywhere, right? At first, he's charismatic. You know, he's louder, he got louder jokes. He's easier, confidence. He's lowered anxiety, emotional openness. And then eventually, depending on the people, because it depends on the person, aggression. There's blackouts, there's violence, of course, addiction, emotional instability, and sometimes even destroyed families, right? And so before we go further, I mean, alcohol is one of those things that, I'll say it, for literally, back in 1920, the Prohibition? I mean, literally, we had a law, an amendment that we had to do twice. They banned alcohol, and then they appealed the amendment to then say, hey, guess what? We're bringing alcohol back. That's the only drug in history that has actually had a law against it and then brought it back.
I mean, it's not like they haven't tried to make drugs, not like legal, but like the criminality behind some of these illicit drugs.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
and it's like there's no friggin' way that you're making opioids and benzos and cocaine. Like, you're not making those substances not illegal.
well, no, well, hold on, because that's the thing. I mean, way back when, they didn't know the effects of what opioids and, cannabis and so on and so forth. Like, they didn't have any idea of what these effects were until much, much later.
Right.
Alcohol, I mean, shit, it's been around a long time.
Long time.
And again, it's still one of the most, I get it, I hate saying it, but the most celebrated, because like there always has to be something that you're like, oh, hey, here you go, cheers, like it has to be something that, and here's the thing, alcohol doesn't mean that, and especially this is where it can get a little tricky, especially with addiction, but fine, I'll say it. Like, I know in my family, right, I do have an alcoholic gene, right? So I know both sides of my family, there are alcoholic genes in both sides. So I know I have to be careful on how I use it, right? And so like that's the thing where, sure, I'll admit there was a couple times where I might have done a little bit too much, and then I was, when you go overseas and you're deployed and you're dry for about a year, guess what? That you don't think about drinking or anything like that. But it's crazy, because when you're looking at family dynamics and how it's presented to you in like different cultures and different things like that, like in my family, unfortunately, I'll say it, being part of an Irish family as well as a Sicilian, guess what? They both drink. And guess what? It doesn't matter. And it's sad because like culture is based off of, drinking and things like that.
Right.
That's what it is. And I mean, I would assume that. I'm not saying you would, but I would think maybe in your family there might be, or there may not be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in everybody's family there are, and we're not necessarily just talking like, well, I had alcohol yesterday. Like, we're talking in terms of addiction. Like, we're talking in terms of people who are drinking and cannot control,
Really abusing it.
right? And that's like the level that we're talking about. We're not talking about like, oh, I have my, I had my wine with dinner. That's not what that's. I'm
No.
having an Angry Orchard right now, but it's like, that's not like my 17th one. You know what I mean? Like,
No, and I feel like and I remember, I'll tell you this real quick. So I remember, at least in the military wise, what they did was they had like a substance abuse prevention class or something like that. And what they would do is they would say that if you drank one beer, technically you're an alcoholic. And I'd say, well, that's not true. I said, it depends on the consistency, right? So if let's say I have one beer every single day at a certain time, maybe it depends. It depends on how big are we talking? Like, I mean, is it small? Is it like, this like monster of a beer? Like, what's
Yeah.
the percentage? Like, there's so much to it where, I was looking at it like that's not true, because let's say I did have a beer like once a week or whatever. Does that make me an alcoholic?
what makes you an alcoholic is if you fill a Gatorade bottle with vodka and you use an orange flavor packet.
Right. No, I mean, that's true. Or
and you're going to work or the gym.
Right.
Like, that's what makes you an alcoholic.
Right. And I mean, if you're basically doing it every single day,
If
to
you
the point-
cannot wait to drink your tall boy and you have to like bring it to the gym with you because you're going to drink it on your way home.
Right,
like,
and
that
that-
makes you an alcoholic, I think.
Well, and that's the other thing is like that's what's scary. And actually, unfortunately, one of the hardest drugs, and yes, alcohol is technically a drug. One of the hardest, actually, the one that could probably kill you is alcohol. Believe it or not, if you detox from alcohol, it
Oh, yeah.
can kill you if depending on like your tolerance and level and all this other stuff. I mean, Matt and I worked.
There were
again,
some weird days, man.
right, and there was
weird days.
and there was times that we were, we had to be like, we knew that people were,
I always remember that
detoxing.
story, like stories that Lee would tell. Like I think it was like some lady when she was outside, they were doing a smoke break, and
Right.
and this lady was like, she started petting something,
Yeah, because you would have
Like-
hallucinations sometimes.
and Lee was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "You have a lot of great looking cats around here."
I mean-
I was like, "What?"
No, but
And then the giraffes in the lobby.
Oh,
you remember that?
Oh,
story?
yeah, I do. No, and what we're saying though is that
Yeah.
alcohol, even though everyone's like, oh, it's this and that, like, I mean, it is probably the most dangerous to detox off of, depending on your tolerance and your level of it, because you can get DTs. I mean, there's so many
Seizures.
factors.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. My story from Farnham when I didn't work detox a lot, as you know.
No, only I did basically, but
But there was one night that I was on detox, and there was this like kind of like elderly man that was there. He was detoxing from alcohol, and he comes out of his room. He's fully dressed. He's got his jacket on. He's got his bags all packed, and I'm like, "Hey, where you going?" Because it's like a lock for like they're there like under nursing care. And he was like, "Oh, I just got off the phone with my wife, and we're gonna go to Walmart, pick up a few things. I'll be back." And here I am going,
no, you're not.
"There's no phone on the unit. Like, what
Well,
are you doing?" Like,
technically, there was a phone, and then they got rid of the phone.
well, when I was there was no phone. We had to put it out when at least the night that I was working there. But like, there's no phones in the rooms.
Oh no,
And
not
that's-
in the rooms. No.
And that's where he was, because he came, like, it was when we work overnights, like,
Oh yeah.
he should have been in there sleeping, but he apparently hallucinated this whole conversation with his wife where she was going to pick him up, take him to Walmart to get a few things and bring him right back. And we're like, let's just go back to your room.
Why don't you go back
Yeah.
to bed? No, and that's what we're saying. I mean, because like it's scary to think that when you're looking at other drugs. I mean, and then the fact that alcohol is one of those things that is so celebrated and so I guess it's
just normalized.
It's normalized. It brings people together. It makes people have a good time. Now, again, it also can change personalities. Like that's the other thing, because like when you hear about people like gaining special skills when they're drunk, for example. Like, all of a sudden this guy doesn't know how to dance, and all of a sudden he, let's say he drinks a 6-pack really quick, and then he's like, whoa, he's like Michael Jackson, and he starts, doing whatever. I mean, it's that,
it's one of those
liquid
things like
courage.
in his head he thinks he's Michael Jackson, but everybody's in reality is watching him going,
This guy's an idiot.
what the hell? This guy is an idiot. What is he doing? And in his mind, he's like, oh, this is so awesome. Look at me. I'm doing the moonwalk. And you're like, no, you're not. Like you're like vibrating. That's all you're doing.
Right. And like, so for example, like I love this little quote here for, the comedy of Iron Warlord here, right? It says, I love you, brother.
I love you, brother.
But it's true because like you get guys that are guys or gals or whoever,
Yeah.
right? They get, like they can either really be funny, they can be really like angry, they can be
Yeah, and then
sad or whatever.
5 minutes after saying, I love you, brother, like he's flipping tables because somebody looked at him the wrong way.
Right. And
Yeah.
like that's what we're saying is like it can like it almost it's gonna sound weird. It's almost like bipolar. Because like you're happy one second and all of a sudden you're flipping tables and you're
I
saying,
mean, it can be
"Fuck
because
you,"
I mean, it's your emotions become different. So I mean, I've never been anybody that wanted. I think I've gotten maybe drunk once, and when I got drunk, I was like really sick, so it was bad. But I've never been one that like wanted to do drugs, or I'd never wanted to do alcohol because I don't like that loss of control feeling for me.
Well, so like I can't really say that I haven't been drunk before, but it's just for me it's I do understand you want to have control and you do want to do that. I think for me is like depending on, and again I hate saying this, if you have friends that peer pressure you, I'm going to say this, Jordan. Um, yes, if you're doing what I feel like if you're doing it with somebody that you trust, it's different. If you're doing it by yourself and you're not knowing what's going on and things like that, that's where it can get scary because you really don't know what's going to happen. I'm not condoning the fact that, yes, you should get drunk with your buddies. No, what I'm saying is if, God forbid, you decide to drink and you're doing certain things and whatever, and let's say you got to know your levels. You got to know what is comfortable for you.
I mean, if you're like 7 Washington apples in, like you probably shouldn't have another one. I'm throwing it out there.
Oh no, he's looking at me. No, he's like,
No, if you're drinking whiskey before you record a podcast, you probably.
Oh, really, man? He's like, maybe if you shouldn't, like, the rule number 1, don't get drunk on a podcast.
Don't get drunk on a podcast.
No, I'm joking. Anyways.
All right. So moving on to the next one, because this one he's probably the creepiest of them because he is one of those guys that seems really genuine, and he is the silken physician. And we're talking about benzodiazepines.
Or just simply benzos.
Yeah, you can just say that. I like diazepines. But yes, he's probably like the creepiest one because you look at him and you think like, oh, he's just a really nice guy. Like he's so calm and he's, soft voice. He's,
Would you like some tea?
and
Sorry.
he's really, I mean, if you don't know like exactly what a benzo is, we're talking about like Xanax or Valium, Klonopin, Ativan. Those are commonly prescribed for anxiety and panic disorders and sometimes insomnia. And sometimes, yes, they can be for seizures if you have them. And medically, they can help people. And I'm not saying that they can't, because certainly, like, my dad is allergic to Valium. So for him, like, Valium is meant to, like, relax
So that
you.
would be the total opposite.
For him, it's the exact opposite. Like, he would, if you give him a Valium, like, he'll be running down the street, like, chasing cars. Like, it's bad. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad, okay? But when you're taking benzos and working at the clinic that I was working at after, Farnham Center, I actually had a patient that was like, would take an unbelievable amount. Like
basically, I don't know why a
if I
doctor
took this
was.
amount, like I would be dead.
Well, not even that. I would think the doctor, whoever prescribed this, probably should lose the medical license at this point.
But it was one of these things like, it does calm you and it does relax you. But and we're talking about addiction. So this is the kingdom of addiction. It's not like, well, I have a Klonopin or an Ativan. Like, prescription, like whatever. Like we're not talking about your prescription that you take whenever you have anxiety. Like that's not what we're talking about.
We're talking about the ones that
We're talking about people who swallow 5 pills at a time and then they walk around completely blacked out and they don't know what happened 5 minutes before they arrive somewhere. Like that's what we're talking about. And one of my patients, like he would forget days at a time, like no memory whatsoever.
Oh, that's bad.
But he's walking around and doing shit.
Oh, that's bad.
You know what I mean? Like, I would be like, you were here yesterday. You don't remember being escorted back outside? Like, because you were high on benzos? Like,
well, not even that.
and he
Were
would
you
be
driving?
like, I don't remember that, but this is bullshit. Like, you know.
Well, not even
like,
that. Like, do you even remember, like, were you driving by any chance? Like, were you?
Oh, he was.
Oh, that's even worse.
he absolutely was. But that's the thing. I mean, dependence can happen quietly because when you're taking them, like it feels like such a relief. And for some of these medications, it's like the relief, they're not like these extended release. I mean, you can get extended release, but most of these are prescribed. Like when you take a Xanax, it's like instant. You know,
Right.
probably within that 20-minute, half hour, you know, how pills, people know how pills work. But it's not exciting. He just promised, like this physician in the kingdom of addiction just promises people like, you don't have to panic anymore. And for someone who deals with, I mean, I don't deal with a lot of anxiety, but for someone in this kingdom that might see this physician and be like, I have just a lot of anxiety, like he'll dish out these pills and it feels magical. Like, oh my gosh, you healed. I'm like, I'm so calm. But then over time, like I said, you have memory problems, blackouts, emotional flattening, dependence, and then this is one of these. I think benzos and alcohol probably are the two worst to detox from, because you can have such severe withdrawals. I think it's about the same as alcohol because it's a downer drug, and it's really, I mean, it's just really, really bad. I mean, we're talking overdosing. You can kind of overdose, I guess, on alcohol if you overdo it. You can get alcohol poisoning, but benzos, it's like any other of these substances. Like you can actually overdose, and some of the effects of this are extreme drowsiness, confusion, impaired coordination, decreased reflexes. So if you're driving, that's
even worse.
That's awful. Respiratory depression, coma, possible death.
Okay, I want to say this.
You know,
the very last one, no offense, I'm not trying to laugh at the whole situation, but you don't say about this last one. No, and
it's one of these things that, I mean, benzos and opiates, especially if you're mixing the two, because we're talking about this profound level of sedation, right? When you have this like level of sedation, because that's what benzos are doing, they're bringing you down. That's when you stop breathing. That's what respiratory depression is.
Right.
And coma and death, like those two, it's like, sorry, I'm done. Like I'm done. Yeah, I'm good. But yeah, benzos in themselves are not bad. It's when you're abusing them, and that's what we're talking about. Like if you're taking them just to take them, and you're taking, 2, 3, 4 pills at a time, and in a month, like you're buying benzos off the street because you ran out of your prescription that you were supposed to have, 30 and 30 days worth. You know what I mean? Like this is what we're talking about. Like when you're just overdoing it, because you can lose segments of a whole day.
Right. No, I agree. And then like even this next one, now this one I know for a fact in New Hampshire, there is a problem with this one. So what we're talking about here is the Furnace Alchemist, or AKA the methamphetamine or meth. Because, yes, we definitely have meth labs here. It's just,
meth is huge, yeah.
It is definitely a huge one besides alcohol, because I feel like, and little fun fact, right, living in New Hampshire, we're actually, I believe, either first or second in the nation, apparently for alcohol consumption, okay? It's surprising to me, and the reason why, when you look this up, is it's not so much that we're the drunks. What happens is people will come from different states because we don't have sales tax on alcohol. And what they'll do is they'll buy all this alcohol and technically bring it over state lines, and then it makes us look like the drunks. Guess what? There's Vermont, there's Maine, there's New York, there's, I mean, everywhere. I mean, you will get everybody to come
It's
here.
huge. And before we continue, because I do want to tell you that meth is one of those substances like, yeah, marijuana, cocaine, heroin. I mean, fentanyl is like a synthetic, and we'll get to that one later on. But meth is not derived from some kind of a natural plant that exists. Like what we're talking about, and this is why when you go to a pharmacy, like the pseudoephedrine and the ephedrine, which you take for colds,
Right.
are behind the pharmacy because people were making meth. People who made meth were buying like 20 boxes, 30 boxes at a time just to get the, chemical out. But what makes meth is, I mean, obviously you're cooking and you're making these, like you're changing it into this chemical version of meth, but the typical ingredients that makes meth, and I'm going to say them because if you're out there doing meth, you have to know that what you're smoking or what you're injecting, because you can do both, is either ether, paint thinner, freon, acetone,
Oh.
ammonia, iodine crystals, red phosphorus,
Oh.
drain cleaner, battery acid,
Oh.
and lithium from inside batteries.
So just so we're clear, a lot of these things are usually household products
Yes.
of some sort, or
Paint thinner, like paint thinner, acetone, like these are things that will remove paint off of things.
right, acetone. If, like, for example, like nail polish remover.
Battery acid will literally melt your skin if
Yes.
if it lands on your skin.
I mean,
Like,
red phosphorus. Phew, I don't even want to know. I don't even like
No.
that. I'm like phosphorus alone. I mean, just think of flames, okay? To think of this like very hot flame, and not even that. I mean, why? Like, why would you even think about that? But as we go forward here,
yeah,
the Furnace Alchemist, right, hasn't slept in 4 days. That's pretty typical. And somehow believes that that means he's evolving into a higher life form. Okay. His tower is full of blue crystals, conspiracy maps, unfinished machines.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, what? And 17 inventions nobody asked for. Methamphetamine floods the brain with dopamine and massively increases wakefulness. No kidding on that one. Focus, energy, and confidence. So here's another thing, right? So when you think of like, now granted, this is like for medication for, let's say, ADHD. Not saying meth is. I'm saying like the.
Well, meth really helps mine.
Well, no, I'm saying, no, yeah, I know. He's like, it's really going to help you there. Like Adderall, I mean, it basically does the same thing. It keeps you awake, it keeps you focused, keeps you energy, maybe it builds the confidence too. But, at first users may feel unstoppable. Okay, well, that's to a degree. That's the trap, because eventually the alchemist starts seeing things, hearing things, picking at his skin, becoming paranoid, obsessing, and spiraling into psychosis. Right, and the Furnace Alchemist genuinely believes he's becoming a genius while physically turning into a haunted scarecrow. That's lovely. And the comedy is watching him explain a 14-step plan involving pigeons, crystals, and government spies.
If you ever want to see pictures, just go to the Department of Justice site because they have some really disgusting pictures of some teeth.
Oh.
That's really.
So this is like
really gross.
It's similar to crack cocaine. I mean, they're both like when you look at before and after. I mean, I would say meth.
I mean, how many times have we heard of these meth labs completely blowing up because people are like, I mean, it's so dangerous to make. But like, I can working for the clinic, like maybe not. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there were like a few characters when we were at Farnham Center, but like I can tell you 100%. When I was working at the clinic, like we would see people that were addicted to meth on like we're talking another level, like, and the fact that you look at all of these chemicals that are put into making meth, and it's basically the cheaper the chemical, the better it is. So if you can get paint thinner or you can get whatever, like I've even heard people are making it with fucking jet fuel.
Oh, God.
And it's like, you wonder why some of these people are dealing with such drastic mental health issues. It's because these chemicals are literally burning their brain.
Yeah, and again, they're not meant to be consumed.
No, they're not meant to be consumed. They're not meant to going in your body. If you know anybody that does meth, like this is the one drug. I think crack cocaine can do it too, but like where you have like the little sores that are all over your body, and
Yeah, like lesions.
you know
and a
your
few
your
other
teeth
things.
start basically rotting out of your face, and the
I mean-
body gets really, really super thin, and like
That's why I'm saying crack
Yeah.
cocaine and meth. I mean, they're not really too far off. I mean, it's just the worst part is like you're saying is all the different chemicals or the different things you're using to make this damn drug as a whole. But I'm just gonna say this. I mean, meth to me is why would you even think about even trying it? Because I mean, literally, you want to talk about scared straight. I mean, there's definitely a few things that you could be like, here, you want to see what you can look like in about 5 to 10 years from now, or probably less than that. I said you could just
Right.
take a look at some of these photos real quick, and that
Yeah.
would scare the shit out of me.
just go into Google and type in meth teeth, and
absolutely.
that will be probably. I'm hoping that would be a wake up call if you ever wanted to not do meth again.
I'm actually just going to type it just in case.
Don't.
Just
No.
Oh,
Oh,
it's disgusting.
it's bad.
It is bad. I just took a look at it. I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
Close it. Close it. Close
I
it.
did. I'm going to get rid of it. So yes, and then this one I know I'm going to let Matt talk about, but this one is definitely I will definitely say in the last 15 years. I know in New Hampshire for sure, and I know of course all over the country, but New Hampshire definitely had a very big problem with this. Like besides, some of these,
Yes.
this one is definitely a contender for us.
Yeah. So these next two characters in our medieval realm, this one would be the older guy, like the older king. He is the fallen king.
Right.
He would be the king that was on the throne before the Hollow King took over. This is Heroin. And if you know anything about, drug abuse and rehab and the drug, addiction culture, there's not very much heroin left because, well, there's something better. And this is where the fallen king sits, because he sits in this ruined castle, staring into the candlelight, remembering when the kingdom called him mercy instead of poison. Heroin creates euphoria, pain relief, emotional escape, warmth, and detachment from suffering. And historically, heroin addiction has often followed trauma, grief, poverty. I mean, you can fill in the blank, war, emotional pain, whatever, you can fill in the blank. But the fallen king represents surrender. It's not exciting. It's not chaos. It's just, I don't want to hurt anymore for a lot of people.
Right. And I mean, what's sad about this one is I do remember a couple of clients, I would say, especially in at Farnham, there was a couple times I remember hearing about this, and they wanted to talk about the story, and one of them was saying that he was a veteran, he came back home, and basically he had a back problem, and so he was taking Vicodin and Percocets and all this other stuff, and basically was getting to the point where, and of course, that this was at the time where doctors were prescribing it, but then they stopped because they knew how addictive these painkillers were doing, especially where people have like certain pain, right? Because that's a lot of it. That's what it was, and so people were like, "Well, I need to fix my pain." And so what some people literally said, "I never in a million years thought I would actually inject myself with this drug," right? And so they
Yeah.
did, and then it's sad because sure, it's that. It is instant, and it does, I guess, sure, we'll call it relieve pain, but the effects of it, literally we've had to create drugs on top of that to help this particular addiction, right? Like Suboxone and methadone and or all these other things that come into play, and then people get addicted to that on top of that, because then that's something, because that's the other thing, right? So Suboxone and methadone, you can technically get addicted from. I said because of the fact that if you're now, generally speaking, with Suboxone and methadone, right? Yes, you have to go to an actual clinic and actually talk to somebody and do all this, and yes, they give it to you, whatever, but you have to come daily.
And that's where I worked before.
Right.
I worked.
You have to go there basically. So methadone, you have to go there daily, or like you have to go every single day. Suboxone is different because sure you might have to go every
Depends
day.
on how you get Suboxone,
Well,
because
true.
some doctors do prescribe it, but
like a
if
month at
you-
a time, but yeah, it depends
Yeah.
on the person.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, heroin is in that class of opiates, obviously, and there are some statistics. It's not as bad as the crack cocaine one, but it's still pretty bad. This one is the national household survey on drug abuse. It's estimated 3,091,000 U.S. residents aged 12 or older have used heroin at least once.
The fact that we have to go with 12, that to me that's crazy.
Yeah.
At 12 years old, that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
that.
So, the survey also revealed many teenagers and young adults have used heroin at least once. 76,000 individuals aged 12 to 17, and 474,000 individuals age 18 to 25. Which is kind of I mean, when you think of how small of a frame that 18 to 25 is,
Oh, it's very small.
474,000 is a lot of people.
No, and what's sad is like, I remember when, especially when we were working there, that, I saw a lot of very young guys, especially, it changed them really quick. And I mean, some of them, they only did it for a short amount of time and then they finally realized like, this isn't going to be my life. And then there's people that did it for years.
Yeah.
And then you saw the difference between, let's say an 18-year-old kid versus let's say somebody that's like 35 doing it for, let's say,
Or 76 and they've been doing it for 30
Right,
years,
or-
you know what I mean?
right,
And
and
now they're not doing heroin, but it might have started as like, yeah, I hurt my back and they started giving me pills and then the pills weren't working and you moved to heroin. And now basically there is no heroin. So now you move to the next strongest, which we'll talk about in a minute. But,
right.
no,
Well, not even that. And then if you think about it, I mean, sure, heroin as like if you looked at just heroin, I mean, at the time it was just going to be that. But then like what we're saying in the next short bit, this one, if you mixed with it, was 10 times more deadlier than just having heroin by itself. But we'll get to
yeah.
that.
So and the opiate, not that you can't withdraw from like cocaine or crack cocaine or methamphetamine, but opiate withdrawal is pretty bad. I mean, you get more of the, the physical body pain, the vomiting, the sweating, the insomnia.
So
this is where a lot of people, when they are going to these, clinics, getting methadone or getting Suboxone, they almost use it. And I know because I work there.
just say it, man.
They use it as like a legal drug dealer.
Oh, I was going to say
Because
crutch.
it's like, well, I can't afford to get high today, so at least I can get my methadone dose so that I'm not sick.
Well, and here's the other thing, right? So I know both Matt and I know this too, and I would assume that maybe if you know anything about it, heroin as well, is that yes, it is the only, from what I understand, it is the only drug that it may feel like you're dying, but you're not going to die from, in the sense of this withdrawal wise.
Withdrawal wise, yeah.
Now, if you OD on it, absolutely, like there's repercussions and so forth.
And
but-
heroin was a little bit of a different substance than what we're the next guy that we're going to be talking about, because it wasn't as strong and people could use, the more that they gained their tolerance, the more that they could use. Whereas as soon as this next guy started coming around and started ruling the kingdom,
this guy was making it really deadly for a lot of people.
yeah, this guy was making it very deadly. And it wasn't just like, here, have some opiates. Now it's like, oh, you want to smoke your meth? Oh yeah, by the way, there's fentanyl in it too. Oh yeah, you guys want to go with the swamp bard? Oh, guess what? He's got some fentanyl laced marijuana too.
Well,
like
and that's the scary part. Is like, because for a long time, I mean,
and the benzos too. The benzos is the worst one when you're trying. You're buying pills. And I actually had a friend who died. He was like a worship guy. He died because like a little story or side story. Sorry.
Okay.
But this guy, he was making something. Like he boiled some water in a pot. I don't know what he was making. Corn on the cob, whatever. You can make your best guess. But this pot of water spilled on his foot. and I mean, he took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook. Like, it was gross. Like, it was bad. And he went to the ER, but he was one of those guys that, like, if you have to wait an hour, like, fuck this. Like, I'm not doing it. So he left the ER and he bought what he thought was just like a pain pill, like a low strength, like Oxy or something. But what he bought were straight up fentanyl, and he ended up overdosing and died. And it was like, bro, all you had to do was wait. You have 45 minutes to like be at the ER, and you would have gotten treated safely.
Right.
But this guy was like, no, I'm just gonna go out and do it myself. And
what's sad about with fentanyl is that because and I'm just gonna throw this as like a random fact here, but like when you looked at marijuana back in the 70s, it was a very low THC level. It was usually like 5-10%, if that. It was very like minimal, so that's why people didn't really
now
care.
it's like 30, 50.
Oh, I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 70 or what.
It depends on where, depends on who has it and
Well,
what
right,
you get
the
it, yeah.
potency. But the thing is this is what we're saying is that because fentanyl, if you mix it with other drugs, it becomes 10 times more deadlier. And the fact is, it's not just like, unfortunately now it's not just fentanyl. Because then they have different versions of fentanyl. They have carfentanil, and then they have like all these other ones that are like even stronger than that. But go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to like interrupt this.
No, I mean it is one of these things, and like the Fallen King, it's one of those things like people always remember. I remember the day that I was just doing heroin and it was kind of safe, even though it
really wasn't.
It really wasn't, and we have now this like new king who's kind of moved into the kingdom, and he's taken the throne, and it's like one of these things. It's like, and I'm trying to find the number, but you can start talking about, I guess, the Hollow King, because that's
so yes, the Hollow King, right? So as we've already mentioned with fentanyl, since we've talked about it quite a bit now, but the Hollow King barely moves. He slumps sideways on the throne while servants nervously wait to see if he starts breathing again. That image alone tells the whole story. Fentanyl is a massively more potent than heroin and morphine. Tiny amounts can shut down breathing completely. It's 100 times more than it's 100 times more than morphine and 50 times more than heroin. And the terrifying thing is many overdose victims never even intended to take fentanyl, and now contaminates, counterfeit pills, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and other street drugs, which you've already mentioned.
Yeah. I saw, I mean, this was a while ago that I saw this. I probably was working at the clinic then, but they had these like, and it's not just like, benzos, but it's people like, if you're maybe you ran out of your prescription of ADHD medication or whatever, what have you. A lot of people will like, oh, this guy is selling amphetamine salts, which are the medication version of meth. I guess kind of like that methamphetamine. It's an amphetamine, but I've seen pictures of like Viagra, God. normal pills. And if you're trying to buy pills from somebody, like I would be like I just would not do that, because
I would rather go to the doctor and be like, listen,
I get a guy this guy that I knew, this is what happened to him. He bought counterfeit pills. He took them thinking they were like, 40 milligram oxys or 10, whatever the dosage is. And they were just straight fentanyl. And if you know anything about fentanyl, it's like basically the amount of a pencil like lead when you sharpen a pencil, like the size of the lead would be enough to kill an elephant.
Right. And that's what we're saying that fentanyl can do. And I mean, even like I said, with like carfentanil, it's just it's basically a very much potent version of fentanyl.
Yeah, I think carfentanil was, I think the number was 10,000 times stronger than morphine.
Right, and it's probably about the same size, or maybe a little less than that. But even
a little less, like grains.
Right, and that's what we're saying is like it's scary, and that's what we're saying about I mean, think about it, because like I know in hospitals they use fentanyl lollipops for, well, for pain and certain like they'll use it for like certain things, but like there's a dose. It's like very limited.
Well,
on
it's
things.
like microdose, and this is where, before like it came like as what you would see on the streets, like little baggies of powder or whatever. Like
right.
you would generally see these people who would sell prescriptions of them because they came in patches. And basically what you would do is you would just either scrape the gel off the patch, or you would just put it in your mouth and suck on the patch.
Right.
And these patches were basically like, 25 micrograms, which is really, really small amount.
Right.
But you would have to put like 3 or 4 patches in your mouth to just suck on them. And
Well, and it's sad because when I know we were talking about heroin a little bit ago. I mean, Narcan, like at the time, Narcan was helping people with like overdosing of heroin, but the issue was with fentanyl and carfentanil, you would have to use multiple.
And carfentanil is not even the last of it. Like they keep making stronger versions.
No, I know, but that's what we're saying. So like with Narcan, I mean, at the time it was supposed to be a one dose like that, and then you would hopefully get them revived. This doesn't even touch that. Like
No.
Narcan can't even. It's
People have to be Narcan 2, 3, 5 times.
like 10 times. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's if you get lucky. I mean, that's if you're lucky enough to survive that, and that's the thing, and that's what we're saying about like fentanyl as a whole, because the stronger it gets in all these different versions of fentanyl, it mind boggles me, but it also scares the shit out of me, because this is the one drug that, yes, there's a reason why it is the king now, because it is so scary on so many levels.
Yeah, and the problem is like people that were using pills or that were used to using heroin think that they can do the same amount.
Nope.
With fentanyl, whether they know they're buying fentanyl or not. I mean, I had a lot of conversations, and maybe they were just like ignorant. I don't know. But they would treat fentanyl as like, oh, I'm just doing heroin. And it's like, you're not doing heroin. Like you tested positive for fentanyl. Like you need to like live up to the fact that you're doing this. But like the opioid nod, you've seen this, I'm sure, many times.
Oh, yes.
The head dropping, drifting in and out, knees buckling. That's kind of one of the telltale signs, is like knees buckling, slowing of speech, and your consciousness fading. Unlike the chaos of meth or crack, fentanyl is one of those quieter drugs because it does give you like that profound level of sedation. So when we're talking like benzos and heroin, you have that risk of coma, death, respiratory depression. Like that's pretty much all relevant. And anytime anybody's using fentanyl, it's like playing Russian roulette. You can survive, but there's also that risk on the other side of like, you may want to do that hit, but like you may not come out of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and this is the part of like fentanyl that it is honestly, when you'd think back in the day, when people would say that, for example, Coca-Cola was made with actual cocaine. Well,
Probably back in like the 1300s.
no, 1300s, my ass. I mean, when you were talking when Coca-Cola was originally invented, I mean, sure, they didn't know about that. They didn't know the effects and whatever. I mean, yeah, sure. And then, with cocaine, I mean, they also used it as like a numbing agent for like dental places and things like that. And morphine, again, when you're talking about like, I can think of the Civil War, for example. They were using morphine, to treat, their soldiers at the time, because like, especially the ones that like, they needed to get amputations and things like that. So, you're talking about like so way back in the past and like how they were using it. But I mean, to me, when you're looking at all these drugs, I would say I'm more afraid for my son and any of my kids, because this is only going to get worse. And the fact that, especially in New Hampshire, I know, and of course, everywhere else on the planet or even in the country, I mean, this is definitely one that if we could eradicate this shit, it would be great, because this is one drug that I would seriously not ever want to see again. It's probably one of the most. It's just the scariest to me.
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, what makes him the king right now is it's kind of like the very tippity top of when you're talking opiates. Like right now, if somebody's using an opiate, sure, they can abuse pills, but more than likely they're using fentanyl.
Right.
And that's what makes this guy king. Yes, meth is a problem, crack is a problem, cocaine is a problem. All of these substances are problems, but when you're looking at fentanyl, it's really an issue. And sometimes the kingdom doesn't realize it's dying until the castle is half empty already. You know what I mean? So it's really, really, it's really bad. Okay.
It's really bad. Okay.
So getting into the blueprint challenge.
I'll even let you do this one.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So this week's challenge is it's simple. Maybe it's not simple for all people, but it can be simple if you don't, you just don't overthink it. Figure out what ruler you run to when life starts hurting. Maybe it's substances, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe it's distractions. Maybe it's isolation. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's, you shut down emotionally. But honestly ask yourself, what am I actually trying to escape? Because if you can, and this is something I always said when I was counseling people, if you can identify the root, the pain underneath what you're doing, that's where real healing starts.
Right.
Sure, you can cut branches off the tree, right? Like you can trim back the tree. You can even cut the tree down, but the stump will always still be there. That potential of it growing back into a full tree again is always there. But when you start identifying the root and you start pulling those roots out, the tree has no way to grow. It's dead. It's gone. So that's the blueprint challenge. Identify the root of whatever pain or whatever you're trying to escape and try to figure out how to deal with that in a more healthier way.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing about this whole thing about addiction is that we're trying to be creative about it, but at the same time, it's one of those things that we just want everyone to realize that unfortunately addiction is never going to go away, right? And so, learning about what these drugs and everything else can do to you as a whole, it's important because, when you're looking at communities or you're looking at, individuals and everybody else that, says, oh, well, this is the best thing ever. This is, the one thing that you should try. And you're like, well, is it really going to change you? Because I can tell you it's not going to change anything. All it's going to do is make your life probably more miserable than anything. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about like evolve, right? Adapt, overcome. Go ahead, man. What's the last one?
Adapt, overcome.
That's it? Just adapt, overcome?
I don't know. You say it.
No, come on, man. I want you to participate here. Adapt, overcome.
I don't want to participate.
Evolve, No,
that is the word.
No, what I'm saying is that, right? So we want to be better. We want to be, understanding of the whole idea behind this. Because like I said, it's not something that's ever going to go away. But again, educating yourself and hopefully maybe others. And yes, you know what? If your kids want to listen to this, just be fair one. Like, you know what? This is the reality. This is the stuff that unfortunately it's every day. Things that you don't know. I remember actually back in when I was actually going to school for some of this. I think they asked the question like, "What is an addict?" Like, what makes or like, draw me a picture of an addict, and everyone's like, "Well, you can't," because nobody could tell you because the whole idea behind it was that anybody could be.
Well, like this says right here, in our notes, addiction is complicated. It's not like people wake up one morning and just be like,
I'm going to be,
hey, I'm going to destroy my life today. I'm going to do meth. You know, it's like whatever. Like, no, people are, and I do think this on some level. People are trying to survive pain or trauma with whatever they can find, and where on one side I can kind of relate. Like, yeah, sure, you know, if somebody becomes an alcoholic because of trauma or pain that they're dealing with, sure, I mean, I can see the practicality behind it, but the one problem is that every one of these substances, or let's say medieval characters that we've created them in this kingdom of addiction, they might offer that relief from the pain. They may offer that relief from the hurt, from the trauma, but they're going to come back and demand something in return every single time. And this is why we said at this very start, like, the bill's going to come due.
Right.
And they're going to come collect. And you're just going to keep being in this, like, you know, this loop of addiction and life and addiction and life and pain and addiction and life. And it's like, sometimes you just got to break the cycle. But addiction itself is complicated. It's not like easily defined. You know, you can use this like societal view, like, oh, that person's just an addict. Like, no, that person is a person. Like, he's a human being dealing with shit.
Right.
And sure, we can call him an addict, but it doesn't mean that necessarily a bad person. I mean, and I'm sure you can relate, I've seen some bad people. But on the flip side, I've seen some people who had addiction problems, and they're intelligent, highly creative. Like, we had a few people at Farnham, like they performed a song, like playing guitar and like for the whole group. I mean, it was cool. And you're like, society would just look at them and be like, oh, you're just junkies and you know the shit of life. You know, it's like,
that's true.
But I've talked to a lot of people, and I mean, they're people just like anything else. They have dreams, they have, you know, things that they want to do and accomplish, and I think it's just a complicated issue at the end of the day, you know?
It is. And it's tough because there's not much you can really say or do at this point when it comes to addiction. I mean, it happens all the time. It's never going to go away, but we've definitely talked a lot about this, but hopefully we really address the problem or really address the issues that we've been mentioning about all this. But I mean, yeah, again, you know, we're just trying to be creative on how we handle addiction as a whole. But until next time, boys and girls.